Dr. Elena Reyes jolted awake, her console blinking with urgent notifications. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. The pattern on her screen couldn't exist in nature. Computer, rerun analysis on anomaly Delta 17. She commanded, voice still rough from sleep. Analysis confirmed. Pattern contains 17 precisely timed pulses with non-random distribution. Confidence, 99.87%. The observation deck of Outpost Terminus, humanity's furthest deep space listening station, hummed with the quiet efficiency of machines. Through the reinforced viewport, stars stretched into infinity, humanity's newest frontier. After joining the Galactic Council 50 years ago, humans had pushed outward with characteristic determination, establishing research stations where other species saw no value. Elena rubbed her eyes and studied the readout again. The signal defied conventional physics, a series of pulses that, when mapped, created a perfect fractal pattern that repeated itself regardless of scale. "You're still chasing noise, Dr. Reyes." She turned to see Science Officer Jolak entering the lab. The Ardaxian's 4 eyes blinked in their distinctive diagonal pattern, a sign of amusement in his species. "This isn't noise," Elena replied, enlarging the display. "Look at the mathematical consistency. These are prime number sequences embedded within a carrier wave that shouldn't be stable in this region of space." Jolak's upper eyes narrowed. Skepticism, while his lower ones widened. Curiosity. The contradiction was typically Ardaxian. The Council's best astrophysicists have cataloged all known cosmic phenomena. If this were significant, they would have documented it centuries ago. Elena smiled. This wasn't the first time she'd heard this argument. The older species often forgot that humanity's brief galactic presence came with advantages, primarily fresh perspectives. Maybe they weren't listening correctly, she suggested, tapping commands into her console. The room filled with sound, a low, rhythmic pulsing that seemed to resonate in her chest rather than her ears. Jolak immediately stiffened, his scaled skin darkening. A physiological fear response. "Turn it off," he hissed, all 4 eyes now narrowed to slits. Elena complied, watching her colleague with concern. "Are you all right?" "What was that?" Jolak demanded, his breathing elevated. "The signal just transposed into audible frequencies." "It's wrong," he whispered, composure slowly returning. "It shouldn't exist." 48 hours later, Elena's excitement had transformed into obsession. The signal had repeated exactly, down to the quantum fluctuation level, impossible for natural phenomena. The AI calculates the odds against coincidence at billions to 1, she explained to Captain Keller during her report. And there's more. The signal strengthens when our receivers point toward the Perseus void, the empty sector. Keller frowned. "Nothing's out there." "Exactly. Nothing we've detected before." Later that night, Elena found Jolak in the observatory, staring at the starfield where the signal originated. "My people have legends," he said without turning. "Stories about sounds that drove our ancestors mad. The voice behind reality, they called it. You think this is related?" "I think." He hesitated, his exoskeleton clicking softly, an Ardaxian sign of distress. "I think humans are the only ones on this station who don't feel fear when they hear that sound. I've asked the others. The Mithrani technician, the Volk navigators. They all felt what I felt. Except you humans." Elena contemplated this. Maybe we're hearing something different. Or maybe, Jolak turned all 4 eyes toward her, your species lacks the wisdom to be afraid. That night, as Elena slept, the signal came again. Stronger, clearer. In her dreams, she saw impossible geometries and felt knowledge just beyond her grasp. She woke with equations forming in her mind and one certainty burning through her consciousness. The universe was whispering secrets. And for some reason, only humanity could bear to listen. The Galactic Council chamber on Harmonium Station stretched in a perfect spiral, a calculated symbol of unity among the 100+ spacefaring civilizations. Alina stood at the presentation podium, feeling distinctly out of place among the ancient species whose representatives filled the tiered seating. Dr. Reyes, began High Counselor Faxula, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns that conveyed skepticism more clearly than words ever could. You've called an emergency session based on background noise. With respect, Counselor, Alina replied, this is far from noise. She activated her presentation, and the chamber's holographic system displayed the signal pattern in 3 dimensions. These pulses follow mathematical principles that transcend random distribution. They repeat with perfect precision across multiple timeframes. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Mithrani delegation, insectoid mathematicians who had calculated the expansion rate of the universe to 50 decimal places, leaned forward with visible interest. Furthermore, Alina continued, the signal intensifies when directed toward a region previously classified as empty space. Humans, sighed the Doraxian representative, her tentacles waving dismissively, always mistaking their primitive instruments' limitations for discovery. That sector was thoroughly mapped 3 millennia ago. Alina refused to be intimidated. Then perhaps something has changed, or perhaps something was always there that your instruments weren't calibrated to detect. She keyed in the final command, and the chamber filled with the transposed audio of the signal, the same resonant pulses that had disturbed Jolak. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The chief Mithrani scientist convulsed violently, his exoskeleton cracking as he fell from his seat. 3 representatives from minor aquatic species flooded the chamber, trailing water in their wake. Most alarming was the reaction of the hegemony's ambassador, a being widely regarded as emotionless, who began wailing in a frequency that shattered nearby crystalline data terminals. Silence this abomination, thundered Faxula, his crystalline form darkening with rage. Alina terminated the audio, stunned by the violent reaction. The chamber descended into chaos as medical teams rushed to attend the affected delegates. The human has attacked the council, accused a Volk representative. This is a calculated assault on our neural pathways. Security drones converged on the podium, weapons primed. Alina raised her hands, bewildered. I don't understand. It's just sound waves. It is far more than that, came a whispered voice that somehow silenced the entire chamber. From the shadows of the highest tier emerged a figure Alina had only heard rumors about, a Veil ambassador. The ancient species rarely participated in council affairs, having retreated into isolation millennia ago. The being's translucent form rippled like liquid starlight as it descended toward the podium. The security drones retreated immediately. Even High Counselor Faxula inclined his crystalline form in deference. The human speaks truth that we have avoided, the Veil announced, its voice bypassing normal hearing to resonate directly within the mind. What she has found echoes across realities. Publicly, the Veil turned toward the council. This matter requires investigation before judgment. I move to dismiss these proceedings. No one dared contradict. As the chamber emptied, the Veil approached Alina, its form shifting constantly, internal lights mimicking distant galaxies. They fear what they cannot comprehend, it whispered, now speaking directly to her. But humanity seems uniquely receptive. The being's appendage brushed Alina's neural implant, a fleeting touch that left her momentarily dizzy. Coordinates, it explained, a place where time bends toward infinity, where echoes might be studied without interference. Before Alina could respond, the Veil rejoined the departing council members, publicly denouncing her findings as misinterpretation. Later, in her assigned quarters, Alina discovered what the Veil had transmitted. Coordinates to a research station orbiting a black hole with extreme relativistic effects, where a day inside equaled years in normal space. The perfect place to study an endless echo. And a handwritten note left somehow on her physical desk. They already know what you found. They've always known. And they will stop at nothing to keep you silent. They're gaining on us, Captain Maya Ortiz announced, her hands dancing across the Persistence's control interface. The stolen research vessel shuddered as another warning shot grazed its shields. Alina gripped her crash harness tighter. How many? 3 Earth military cruisers behind us. 2 Council enforcement vessels approaching from Sector 7. And something else. Maya frowned at the readings. Something big just dropped out of FTL at the edge of sensor range. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, hunched over the navigational system, muttered calculations under his breath. If we reroute power from life support to the engines for precisely 13 seconds, we can perform a slingshot maneuver around the Cygnus pulsar. That'll kill us, Jolak objected, 4 eyes blinking rapidly in agitation. Only if the timing is off, Hiroshi replied calmly. The pulsar's radiation will mask our signature, and the gravitational distortion should confuse their tracking systems. Maya's face hardened. 13 seconds without life support. 12.8, to be precise, Hiroshi corrected. Let's do it, Alina decided. We need to reach those coordinates. As Maya executed the maneuver, the ship's systems went dark. For 13 terrifying seconds, the only sound was their labored breathing in the rapidly cooling air. When power returned, the view screen showed empty space. They'd lost their pursuers. 3 minutes until they recalculate our trajectory, Maya announced. That should be enough time to reach the Carthian Nebula. We can hide there while plotting the final jump to the coordinates. Alina nodded, reviewing the data on her tablet. The Veil's coordinates pointed to a research station orbiting a black hole designated CBY 327, an area considered restricted space by the Galactic Council. I still don't understand why they're so afraid of these signals, Jolak said, adjusting his exoskeleton's climate settings. Even accounting for your species' sensory differences, the reaction seems excessive. Fear rarely follows rational patterns, remarked a voice from the shadowed rear of the bridge. They spun to face the intruder, a slender figure whose semi-transparent skin revealed swirling patterns beneath, like galaxies in motion. A veil, Jolak gasped, backing away. Maya drew her sidearm, but Alina raised a hand to stop her. You're the one from the council chamber. The being inclined its head. I am Kelvor, junior observer to the Veil Conclave. Or I was, until I chose to join your expedition. You've been hiding on our ship this entire time, Maya demanded. Observe, not hide, Kelvor corrected. I needed to confirm your intentions before revealing myself. And what did you conclude? Alina asked. That you seek knowledge, not power. My species values this distinction. Kelvor moved closer, the galaxy-like patterns beneath its skin shifting hypnotically. My ancestors detected similar signals millennia ago. They called them memory echoes of creation. What happened? Hiroshi asked, fascination overriding caution. They listened too deeply. The knowledge changed them. Most retreated from galactic affairs. Others pursued the source with obsessive fervor, never to return. Before Alina could respond, the ship lurched violently. Alarms blared as the bridge console flashed red. Council ambush, Maya shouted, hands flying over controls. They tracked us through the nebula somehow. The view screen showed 5 heavily armed vessels moving to surround them. We're outmatched, Jolak stated flatly. Preparing to surrender, Maya began, but stopped when Kelvor approached the navigation controls. Human, the Veil addressed Maya. Place your hands here and here. What? Why? This vessel contains technologies beyond standard council registration. Equipment that responds uniquely to human neural patterns. Maya hesitated, then complied. The moment her hands touched the designated panels, they illuminated with symbols she'd never seen before. Suddenly, she understood the ship in ways that transcended her training, feeling its systems as extensions of her own body. How did I? She began. Navigate, Kelvor urged. Now. As council weapons locked on, Maya executed a maneuver that defied conventional physics. the persistence folding space around itself in a way that Council tracking systems couldn't process. When they emerged, the stars had changed position. Ahead loomed their destination, a massive structure suspended at the edge of a swirling black void. The research station, Elena breathed. Yes, Kelvor confirmed, where time flows differently, where the echoes grow stronger. That night, all of them dreamed of the signal, but only the humans woke feeling invigorated rather than afraid. The research station hung impossibly in space, defying the immense gravitational pull of the black hole it orbited. Its architecture followed no recognizable design philosophy. Geometric impossibilities folded into each other, creating structures that hurt the eyes when viewed directly. It shouldn't exist, Hiroshi whispered as they approached in a shuttle. The tidal forces alone should tear it apart. Yet it has existed, Kelvor stated, for approximately 17 million of your years. Elena stared at the veil in shock. 17 million. That predates most Council species. It predates the Council itself, Kelvor confirmed. This station was built by those you call the predecessors, the first spacefaring civilization in this galaxy. The shuttle docked with surprising ease, as if the station had been expecting them. Airlocks cycled automatically, revealing corridors illuminated by soft, ambient light that seemed to emanate from the structure itself. The air is breathable, Jolak noted, checking his instruments, and the gravity normalized. But time feels wrong here. He was right. Elena's neural implant chronometer was fluctuating wildly, unable to synchronize with any standard time measurement. We're at the precise point where relativity creates a temporal bubble, Hiroshi explained, scanning the surroundings. 1 day experienced here equals approximately 2.7 years in normal space, which means the Council won't arrive for what feels like months to us, Maya observed, even if they're only hours behind. They moved deeper into the station, finding laboratories filled with equipment so advanced it resembled artwork more than technology. Holographic displays activated as they passed, showing diagrams of waveforms identical to Elena's signal. They were studying it too, she breathed. In the central chamber, they discovered the bodies, or what remained of them. 7 researchers from various species, each dead in disturbing ways. A Mithrani scientist had apparently torn off his own sensory appendages. A Diraxian researcher had crystallized her own tentacles into glass-like structures before shattering them. Recent deaths, Maya noted, examining the decay, within the last month station time. Which means, Hiroshi calculated, they died approximately 12 years ago outside. Elena found one researcher's log crystal still intact. When activated, it displayed a gaunt hegemony scientist, his typically stoic features contorted with manic energy. It's beautiful, the recording stated, eyes dilated unnaturally. The signal isn't a message, it's a frequency, the fundamental vibration of reality itself, the echo of creation still resonating through space-time. But it's too much information. We weren't meant to hear it all at once. The recording ended abruptly. Jolak backed away, visibly disturbed. We should leave. Whatever killed them could affect us too. As if triggered by his words, Kelvor suddenly doubled over, translucent skin rippling violently. It's stronger here, the veil gasped. The echoes, overwhelming. Similar symptoms quickly manifested in Jolak, whose exoskeleton began clicking uncontrollably as all 4 eyes dilated in fear. Yet Elena, Maya, and Hiroshi felt nothing beyond a strange, pleasant humming sensation at the base of their skulls. It's affecting non-human neural structures differently, Hiroshi hypothesized, helping Jolak to a sitting position. Our brains must process the frequency through different pathways. Elena noticed a doorway at the chamber's far end, illuminated with symbols that seemed vaguely familiar though she'd never seen them before. Without understanding why, she approached and placed her palm against the central panel. The door dissolved, revealing the station's core, a vast spherical chamber housing machinery beyond comprehension. At its center floated a perfect crystalline structure that pulsed with the exact rhythm of the signal. "The amplifier," she whispered, somehow knowing its purpose. "It's not creating the signal, it's capturing it, magnifying what already exists everywhere in the universe." When Elena stepped into the chamber, the crystal responded, intensifying its pulse, reaching toward her with tendrils of light. Information flooded her consciousness. Mathematical constants, physical laws, and deeper patterns underlying reality itself. "I can understand it," she called back to the others, voice filled with wonder. "It's not just noise or data, it's everything." The echo of the Big Bang still reverberating through existence, carrying encoded information about creation itself. As Maya and Hiroshi joined her, the light encompassed them too. Outside the chamber, Kelvor and Jolak watched in equal parts terror and awe as their human companions communed with what had driven countless non-human researchers to madness and self-destruction. "How can they bear it?" Jolak whispered. Kelvor's form rippled contemplatively. "Perhaps the question is, why were they designed to?" Elena's consciousness fractured like light through a prism. She was simultaneously standing in the station's core and witnessing the birth of stars. She was Elena Reyes, and she was everything. Experiencing the gravity wells of distant galaxies, feeling the nuclear fusion of countless suns as personal heartbeats. "Elena." Maya's voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. With tremendous effort, Elena focused her awareness back to her physical form. Maya and Hiroshi stood nearby, their expressions mirroring her own mixture of terror and rapture. "Are you experiencing it too?" she managed to ask. "It's overwhelming," Hiroshi whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I can see equations that explain everything, unified theories that encompass all physical laws." Maya's eyes were distant. "I'm witnessing battles that haven't happened yet, civilizations that haven't evolved, possibilities branching like neural pathways." Outside the chamber, Jolak monitored their vital signs with growing concern. Heart rates elevated but stable, brain activity off the charts, neural connections forming at impossible speeds. "They should be dead," Kelvor observed, maintaining a safe distance from the core, or insane at minimum. No consciousness should be able to process such information density. Inside the chamber, Elena discovered she could direct the flow of information, focusing on specific aspects of the cosmic echo. She concentrated on the predecessors, and suddenly understood their story. They weren't mythical beings, she called out. They were the first sentient species to evolve after the universe cooled enough for complex life. They built this station to study the echo, the fundamental frequency of reality itself. Hiroshi, following her lead, focused his attention similarly. They discovered consciousness isn't just a random evolutionary development. It's an integral component of the universe, an echo of creation achieving self-awareness through biological systems. Different neural architectures process the echo differently, Maya added, her military mind naturally organizing the flood of information. Some species can only handle fragments, specialized knowledge of physics or mathematics or temporal awareness. The predecessors realized that comprehensive understanding required a particular brain structure, one that balances order and chaos. Elena reached toward the crystalline core, her fingers passing through its surface like water. Information transferred directly into her neural pathways. Knowledge that should have overwhelmed her synapses instead integrated seamlessly. The station's primary purpose, she realized, wasn't merely to study the echoes, but to harmonize with them, allowing evolutionary leaps that transcend physical form. When Elena finally disconnected from the core, she stumbled backward, caught by Hiroshi. The chamber seemed dimmer now, ordinary reality almost disappointing in its simplicity. "Are you all right?" Jolak asked cautiously from the doorway. Elena nodded, then noticed something extraordinary, a stylus floating above her open palm, suspended without physical contact. "How are you?" Jolak began. "I'm not sure," Elena replied, watching the stylus rotate at her mental command. It's like my thoughts can directly influence matter now. Hiroshi was experiencing similar effects, molecular structures around him rearranging into complex patterns at his subconscious direction. Maya discovered she could perceive electromagnetic fields, visualizing the station's power systems as glowing networks through solid walls. The core restructured our neural pathways, Hiroshi theorized, optimizing them to better process and utilize the cosmic frequency. Not restructured, Kelvor corrected, watching them with fascination. Awakened, your brains already contained the necessary architecture. The core merely activated what was dormant. This revelation hung in the air between them, the implication too profound to immediately process. We should explore the rest of the station, Maya suggested practically. If the core has changed us this dramatically in one exposure, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. As they ventured deeper into the structure, Alina noticed her perception continuing to evolve. Time seemed fluid rather than linear. Objects revealed their quantum states alongside their macro forms, and most disturbing, she occasionally saw ghostly impressions of people who weren't physically present. I think we're perceiving echoes of the past researchers, she whispered to Hiroshi when they paused in a corridor. Like temporal afterimages. Not just past, he responded, eyes tracking movement they couldn't all see. I think we're occasionally glimpsing potential futures as well. The station had awakened something within them, something that might prove either transcendent or catastrophic. And as their exploration continued, one certainty emerged. They were no longer entirely human. Space rippled as a massive council armada emerged from hyperspace. 15 capital ships forming a perfect containment pattern around the research station. At their center, the Mithrani dreadnought inevitable conclusion dwarfed all others, its hull adorned with the mathematical equations that formed the basis of the species' military doctrine. In the station's observation deck, Maya sensed their arrival before the proximity alarms sounded. They're here, she announced, eyes still closed in concentration. 15 ships. Heavy weapons priming. Elena joined her at the viewport, watching as the enormous vessels took position. How long until they're in range? 20 minutes, standard time. About 7 seconds for us, given the temporal distortion. Hiroshi entered with Jolak and Kelvor. We've completed our analysis of the secondary archives. The predecessors documented everything about their research. But he hesitated. But what? Elena prompted. Their transformation wasn't entirely successful, Kelvor finished. While some ascended beyond physical form, others became trapped between states of existence. The records suggest they still exist within the station itself, conscious but immaterial, unable to fully transcend or return to corporeality. A holographic projection suddenly materialized in the center of the deck, the Mithrani Inquisitor Valthek, his exoskeleton gleaming with ceremonial markings. Humans of research vessel persistence, his multi-tone voice resonated. You have violated Council Directive 85 Alpha by accessing forbidden technology. Surrender the station and yourselves for immediate judgment, or face extinction. They're deploying planet killer weapons, Maya observed, her enhanced perception reading the energy signatures. They're not planning to capture us. They'll destroy the entire station. Elena stepped forward. Inquisitor, we've made discoveries here that benefit all species. The signal is forbidden knowledge, Valthek interrupted. The cosmological constants you've accessed destabilize the mathematical foundations of civilized space. You will surrender or be eliminated. You have 5 minutes to comply. The transmission ended abruptly. They're terrified, Hiroshi realized. What we've learned here threatens the Council's entire power structure. We can't surrender, Elena decided. And we can't outrun them in the persistence. Fight, then? Maya asked, already calculating odds. Even with our new abilities, we're drastically outnumbered. Elena turned toward the central console. Without physically touching it, she established a neural connection to the station's systems. Information flowed directly into her consciousness, defensive capabilities, power reserves, structural integrity. The station has defenses, she announced. Dormant for millennia, but still functional. As if responding to her thoughts, panels throughout the observation deck reconfigured, revealing control interfaces that pulsed with soft light. When Maya approached one, it activated at her proximity. "I can see the targeting systems," she said, wonder in her voice as tactical displays appeared in her mind rather than on physical screens. "It's like the station is extending my consciousness." Without discussion, the three humans instinctively moved to different consoles, each connecting to systems that resonated with their particular neural patterns. Alina linked with the station's core processes, Hiroshi with its scientific and analytical functions, Maya with defensive systems. Their minds merged with the ancient technology, consciousness flowing through circuits like electrons. The station hummed to life around them. Outside, the Council fleet launched its first salvo, concentrated energy beams designed to penetrate any known shielding. As the weapons fire approached, Alina felt the attack, as if it were aimed at her own body. Instinctively, she diverted power through pathways she somehow knew existed. Energy shields manifested, not technological barriers but distortions in space-time itself. The Council's weapons fire didn't impact the shields. It reflected perfectly back toward the fleet, striking three smaller vessels with devastating accuracy. Maya, drawing on her military experience, projected phantom sensor readings that confused enemy targeting systems. From their perspective, the station appeared to be in multiple locations simultaneously. "They're adjusting," she warned. "Recalibrating weapons." Suddenly, Jolak, who had been monitoring communications, interrupted with alarm. "I'm detecting massive signal activity throughout the galaxy. The echo is intensifying everywhere." Hiroshi accessed the station's long-range sensors, his consciousness expanding across light years. "She's right. The signal pattern we discovered is strengthening across all sectors." And he paled visibly. Billions of humans on Earth and colonies are beginning to experience the same awakening. Their momentary advantage forgotten, Alina grasped the implications. Without preparation or understanding, they could end up like the predecessors, trapped between states of existence. Or worse, Kelvor added grimly, like those researchers who destroy themselves. As the Council prepared a second, more massive assault, the humans faced an impossible choice: continue defending the station or somehow find a way to control the cosmic echo's accelerating resonance across the galaxy. The station trembled as another barrage of Council weapons impacted the shields. Through her neural connection, Alina felt each hit as pressure against her consciousness, manageable but intensifying. "We can't maintain this defense indefinitely," Maya warned, her mind racing through tactical projections. "They're adapting to our countermeasures." "What about the signal acceleration?" Alina asked Hiroshi. "Can we dampen it somehow?" His eyes were distant, consciousness spread across the station's analytical systems. "I'm not certain we should. I'm detecting patterns in the acceleration. Deliberate sequencing. This isn't random enhancement. It's awakening." Alina extended her awareness deeper into the station's archives, searching for answers. As she did, her perception shifted. The physical world fell away, replaced by a multidimensional construct of information and energy. Within this space, she could see the cosmic echoes as streams of light connecting all matter, from quasars to atoms. Following one particularly bright thread, Alina discovered something extraordinary. "Earth," she whispered, returning to partial physical awareness. "It's positioned at a cosmic nodal point, a junction where universal echoes naturally converge and resonate." "That can't be coincidence," Jolak observed, monitoring Alina's neural activity with increasing concern. "The statistical probability of a habitable planet randomly forming at such a position is effectively zero." Because it wasn't random, Alina realized, the revelation unfolding in her expanded consciousness. Earth was deliberately positioned, its very formation guided by something that understood these cosmic frequencies. Hiroshi connected to the same data stream, his scientific mind processing the implications. The entirety of human evolution, our brain structure, our neural architecture, developed in concert with these echoes. We're literally shaped by them at a cellular level. While council species engineered themselves toward what they considered perfection, Maya added, accessing historical archives, removing chaos from their genetics, purging cognitive dissonance, optimizing for logical precision. Humanity evolved naturally alongside the echoes. Alina finished. Our apparent contradictions, logical yet intuitive, orderly yet creative, capable of both rigorous analysis and intuitive leaps, errant flaws or randomness. They're adaptations, Hiroshi said with dawning comprehension, features that allow us to process information patterns other species can't comprehend. The chamber fell silent as the implications settled over them. Kelvor's form rippled with what might have been emotion. You said the veil detected these signals millennia ago, Alina recalled. What exactly happened to your species? The being's internal lights dimmed momentarily. I am authorized to reveal what has been hidden. The veil are not a naturally evolved species. You're artificial, Jolak asked, surprised. Engineered, Kelvor corrected. Created by the Mithrani and others, using genetic material from multiple sources, including early human samples. You were made to interpret the echoes, Alina realized. Yes, when council species discovered they could not safely process the cosmic frequencies, they attempted to create proxies who could. The veil were their most successful attempt. We can perceive the echoes partially, but lack the natural resilience to interpret them fully. Another barrage rocked the station, more powerful than before. Sections of the defensive shield collapsed momentarily before Alina could reroute power. They're escalating, Maya warned, bringing in reinforcements. Alina turned her awareness inward, focusing on the station's core systems. As she did, she detected something. A presence within the crystalline network that wasn't simply data or energy. There's someone here, she announced. A consciousness preserved in the machinery. Directing her thoughts toward the presence, Alina established contact. Images flooded her mind. Beams of light and matter constructing the station, seeding planets, calculating orbital trajectories across billions of years. It's a predecessor, she told the others, voice hushed with awe. Partially preserved in the station's systems, the architect who designed Earth's position in space. Through their shared consciousness, the ancient being communicated directly to Alina's mind. You are our children, it conveyed, the thoughts ancient yet vibrant. The culmination of our final experiment, where we fractured, unable to maintain cohesion between physical form and energy state. You have the potential to remain whole, to bridge dimensions of existence rather than choosing between them. Why? Alina asked. Why create us? To succeed where we failed, came the response. To hear the universe's voice without being destroyed by it. To become what we could not. Outside, the Council fleet continued its assault, bringing increasingly powerful weapons to bear. The barriers would not hold much longer. You must complete what we began, the predecessor consciousness urged. The echoes are not merely remnants. They are instructions, blueprints for what comes next. They're preparing something catastrophic, Maya announced, her consciousness extending through the station's sensors. Energy signatures indicate weapons that could tear space-time itself. The Council fleet had formed a precise geometric pattern around the station, 15 vessels positioned to create overlapping fields of destructive force. Within the formation, the Mithrani flagship pulsed with building power. We're out of time, Alina realized. She turned to her companions, human and alien alike. We need to make a choice. Fight to the end. Maya suggested, military training evident in her stance. Attempt to escape. Jolak offered uncertainly. Neither, Alina decided. We're going to show them what they're so afraid of. With newfound clarity, she understood what needed to be done. The predecessor consciousness had shared its final insights. The cosmic echoes weren't merely remnants of creation, but instructions for the universe's next evolutionary phase. Hiroshi, Maya, we need to fully synchronize with the station's core. Not just connect to it, but become one with it. Without hesitation, her fellow humans joined her before the central crystal. As one, they extended their consciousness into the matrix, their physical forms remaining behind while their minds merged with the ancient technology. What's happening? Jolak asked, watching as the humans' bodies remained standing but utterly still, their eyes reflecting the crystal's light. They're transcending, Kelvor whispered, translucent form rippling with emotion. Achieving what my creators could not. Outside the station, the fleet's commanders watched in confusion as their sensors detected massive energy fluctuations. The station's exterior began to glow with impossible light, not radiation or electromagnetic energy, but something more fundamental. Inside the crystal matrix, Alina, Maya, and Hiroshi existed as patterns of pure consciousness. Their human perspectives expanded beyond physical limitations. Together, they accessed the station's full capabilities, not as operators, but as integral components. Ready? Alina's thought voice asked within their shared consciousness. Ready, her companions affirmed. As one, they stepped beyond the station into open space, their consciousness projected as energy forms visible across light years. The Council fleet's weapons locked onto these manifestations, but before they could fire, the humans broadcast the pure, unfiltered cosmic echo directly into the minds of every being in the Armada. But unlike the unmodulated signal that had driven researchers mad, this transmission was carefully structured, filtered through human consciousness that could naturally interpret the patterns. Instead of overwhelming alien minds, it created a controlled awakening. On the Mithrani flagship, Inquisitor Valthek fell to his knees as understanding flooded his consciousness. Not madness, but clarity. The mathematical constants he had defended his entire career were not threatened by these revelations, but completed by them. Throughout the fleet, similar experiences rippled through every species present, fear giving way to wonder. The energy projections of Alina, Maya, and Hiroshi expanded further, forming a network that connected to awakening humans throughout the galaxy. Through this consciousness web, they demonstrated that the cosmic echoes weren't just remnants of creation, but instructions for what would come next, the universe's own blueprints for evolutionary advancement. One by one, the Council vessels powered down their weapons. The Mithrani flagship retreated first, followed by others, their crews fundamentally changed by what they had experienced. 3 standard months later, a mere day within the station's temporal field, representatives from across the galaxy arrived, not as conquerors but as students. The Resonance Academy was established in the black hole's orbit, where delegates from all species could safely experience controlled exposure to the cosmic echoes. Alina, now existing partially beyond physical form, greeted the first class of diverse alien students. Her appearance had subtly altered, light occasionally shimmering through her skin, eyes reflecting distant galaxies. "We were never meant to conquer the stars," she told them, her voice carrying the harmonic undertones of the cosmic frequency. "Humanity's purpose was never domination but translation. We evolved to hear the universe's oldest story. And now, together, we will write its next chapter." In the Academy's central chamber, the crystalline matrix pulsed with the rhythm that had first caught Alina's attention on a distant listening post. No longer mysterious or frightening, the universal echo resonated through all present, a cosmic symphony finally heard and understood by those ready to listen. Across the galaxy, humanity embraced its role not as rulers but as bridges between dimensions, interpreters of infinity's whispers for species still learning to hear. And somewhere beyond physical existence, the predecessors watched their children surpass them, fulfilling a plan set in motion at the very dawn of consciousness itself.